Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for September 9th through 12th, 2022. Well, we're feeling tomorrow's full moon in Pisces, really powerful energies as we are having just coming off this black moon Lilith square Chiron. Now we're still going to feel that all the way up into the equinox, but the black moon Lilith square Chiron has been taking us into the deepest places of our psyche, the deepest, darkest recesses of the shit we have not wanted to face and we've been running from and probably didn't even know was there. So not a very fun journey. And then now this Pisces full moon energy just bringing this illumination, especially since the dark energies for supernova souls in your psyche that you're dealing with, I'm sure they relate to your current everyday life, but it's a replay of energies from the Piscean age. And so it's like we're trying to clean up the energy of persecution and the programmed shame and low self-worth that is an effect of being a persecuted light worker in the Piscean age. So now we know, we've gotten the message that here we are at the next shift of ages, and you are most likely there at the last shift of ages during this crucial time. I guess there's an energy of, because the intense attack on the light and what happened in the early part of the last of the Piscean age, and you as a supernova soul, we've gotten this message that this, as a conscious soul here on a mission and path and purpose, I know it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but this is going to become more and more clear, and this is what this time is about that we're in. It's like a reality check. It's like, oh yeah, no, this, you thought it's just a bad dream or somewhere you're stuck for a while. It's like, this is this incredible process that we're in together. And once we can see beyond the trap and the limitations and the blocking energies, and we can start to give ourselves permission to exist in the energy of the dream. The thing is like, they've got us all duped, especially supernova souls, because, there's a reason why we've been so targeted, and that has to do with the fact that we have had experience as advanced souls. Now, that means that we have closer in our soul memory, and we're more cohesive in our identity as an individual soul. That's what happens as you evolve. We get more and more emotional, intuitive, very sensitive as we evolve. And so closer to the surface, it's like, it's more difficult to erase in the supernova soul the memory of being an advanced soul. Our future has been stolen. We know that there's all these technologies that exist. They're in our cell phone. They're being used against us, but we don't know about them. And as long as we don't know about them, they can continue to be used against us. And in fact, now infected in our environment, in our food, and we take in these artificial intelligence pieces of material. So it's a crazy time that we're living in, but all of the things that have gone into blocking this spiritual ascension and keeping humanity as slaves has to do, it's all held in place by one simple fact, and that's whether or not we remember who we really are. And supernova souls, that's what we're doing. That's why you're going through excruciating pain. That's why you're having to face these places. You've already made this choice, and now it's time to get on board fully and completely, because the message that's come through about this particular time right now, and probably kicking off with equinox, I'm guessing, as there's a shift of energies there on the 22nd of September. But because Mars just went into retrograde shadow in Gemini, and the Mars retrograde cycle, that's going to happen it's going to mean Mars is in Gemini for 6 months. And Mars doesn't turn direct until the second week of January 2023. And so the message around this Mars retrograde in Gemini is like this massive initiation, super intense, like training for supernova souls. the new leaders, a preparation, the leaders we've been waiting for. And so it's kind of this place of like do or die. It's kind of this surrender, not surrendering to the dark forces that have been obstructing you, but surrendering to who you really are. It's not about, we've been tricked into thinking that we're claiming back. That we're claiming our life and freedom and our evolution, our permission to evolve. We've already been more evolved. So we're claiming it back. It's ours already. And it all hinges on supernova souls being so traumatized and so alone and that they never remember, because you have the biggest capability of remembering. And when you find out the energy, resources, mechanisms, and long-held agendas over hundreds of years that have gone into keeping us asleep to who we really are. Now, this is a really important energy right now, because with this Pisces full moon, we're looking at, we got to clean up that Piscean age stuff, right? We just went to the depths of the darkest places in our psyche. And now this Pisces full moon is highlighting the origins of of this with the distortions of the Piscean age, where group consciousness and spiritual thinking and connected consciousness was used to control humanity. And humanity was programmed that everything alive was not spiritual, and a great separation occurred. And indeed, a separation in our right and left brain. So this Pisces full moon is bringing all of this grief up, especially since we've just gone to this nitty gritty. It's almost like that black moon square Chiron we're still having it. It's not exact anymore, but we're going to feel it through equinox, And it's like, how did I even get these dark feelings? Are they even mine? What have they been doing down here? How could I possibly feel so low about myself when really you're just this beautiful, but have so much inside of you, a superstar, so much potential, And that shame that supernova souls find deep in their psyche, it's like, it doesn't fit. It's totally mismatched, right? But some part of us bought into this, right? So this Pisces full moon is powerful because the moon will be making a sextile to Uranus, and Uranus in Taurus. And now the North Node is at 15 degrees Taurus now. So still not too far. So it's going to make a sextile with the North Node and then move into a sextile with Uranus. And that puts the sun in a trine with Uranus, beautiful earth trine energy. And we've also got a water trine energy with Black Moon Lilith in trine to this full moon. And so now it's a very harmonious activation, this Pisces full moon of Uranus and Taurus and the nodes of the moon. And so this is speaking to our new way forward. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. It speaks to higher vibrational energy, sudden change. And the nodes of the moon are about how are we going to move forward and what's holding us back. So really, really important energies for our times. And we're coming up, so there's something very powerful between the sextile, between the full moon and Uranus in Taurus, Pisces and Taurus, because this is where the sextile will occur between Saturn and Jupiter. Now, Saturn and Jupiter, really powerful energies. And when they come together, it's called that great conjunction or greater conjunction or greatest. We just had a greater conjunction in December of 2021 or 2020. And anyway, so now it's not till 2023 and 2024, though, that those Saturn and Jupiter will come back into their next transit. And that's a sextile. And that will be between Saturn in Pisces and Jupiter in Taurus. And so these planets, these signs are really important for us. And we got to explore this because it looks like when Jupiter and Saturn come together, there's this new spiritual impulse, but the magic of it doesn't really come through until the sextile happens. And we're looking at a lot of positive changes in the 23-24. So it makes sense that the second part of 2022 is deep internal initiatory work, and all the way into the spring when Jupiter comes out of retrograde shadow. So, and Mars comes out of retrograde shadow. So, if we can understand that this is like, oh wait, no, we've been here without any map. We don't even know for sure that we remember that there's anything beyond, but we know something's not right. And now it's almost like it's time for us to get our marching orders or kind of get clarity around our mission and purpose here. And it means diving into deep internal work, like an initiatory process of remembering. This isn't about learning things new right now or getting certificates and going through all that, although that's powerful. But this time is about uncovering the spiritual gifts within you. Now, this is this advanced technology we've already worked with. We've already done levitation. We've already lived as breatharians. We've already just, it's mind-blowing. And we've been programmed to think, though, that our power is dangerous and is going to hurt people. And this is all based on the catastrophe model of fear programming, fear and trauma programming that's kept us as human consciousness creating more fear and trauma, right? This is where we get to the quintessential power of supernova souls right now, and why shit's so intense for you, because you're right on the edge of the dream that you know is true more and more beyond the veil. And we're being invited to literally, we've got to start operating there and existing there in this dream, in this energy. And the thing, it's interesting because it's like, oh, but my life, and I got to do this, and I've got all this 3D mundane shit and all these distractions and blah, the intense garbage, of emotional garbage of the people around me and all this to deal with, right? And it's like, what's coming through is this really powerful message about this finally understanding this Uranus and Taurus and North Node activation that we're going through. And it's all about, so if we've already had it, we've already had autonomy and freedom, we've already had these higher technologies, we've already had experienced fully the use of these technologies in our very own body, in our energy field. And so what's keeping us from just saying, okay, I'm going to remember, I'm fine with this. I've already done it, That's overcoming the fear programming and authority contracts. Now, this is a huge part of the intuitive training, so I would love for you to consider that. It starts at the end of September. But the Taurus energy is about our permission to receive, and to feel embodied and supported in life. And so it's a second house, and they, most traditional astrology associates a second house in Taurus with wealth. But come on, we know money isn't wealth. Stack that shit up. It's not, you can't take it with you. And so we're looking at internal wealth and our gifts and treasures, and especially these that have been hidden from us. And so if the only thing that's keeping us from recreating our world and dreaming our new dream and saying this is our world now, and enough of us are going to hold this other frequency vibration, you guys figure it out, and we're so close to this. And but the main thing that's keeping us from making this leap is whether or not we deserve it. So we got to start telling ourselves we've already had it. It's already ours. It's our sovereignty, it's our power. And that kind of negates all the stories that say you can't handle it, you don't know how to operate it, you're going to blow up the planet. Because I'm starting to get messages again, and I've seen this in past life readings, where again and again, what's been called natural catastrophes are actually caused by directed energy weapons. And this is what happened in Atlantean time. And we took the blame for those catastrophes, saying it was the technology, right? To scare us away from this technology. And so this is why this so much energy hinges around this Taurus activation of higher frequency vibration. Uranus is your connection to your higher self and your ancient wisdom. And the North Node, that's the path forward, the embodiment of this. And yet, do you deserve it? And that's where we get into this Pisces dynamic, because Pisces has this beautiful energy of the dream and imagination and the power of consciousness. And it's like, really, when you're in that knowledge and that connection, you know, that feeling of really being connected, you're in trust. And you could see that the consciousness of humanity could harmonize any earth changes. And we got to get out of this bullshit story of fear and trauma. We're so incredibly powerful. And you can see it everywhere around us is playing out, just like water, fire, water, fire, water, fire. You little minions have no power and no control. We're in charge of you. And we're just going to rape and pillage your energy and then steal it, charge, send it, sell it back to you at an increased rate with interest. When are we done? As long as we feel shitty, like we're the little worms they told us we are, and we can't handle it, and we're just isolated and alone and stuck here, and we just have to put up with it. As long as we're there, then we're never going to be able to claim this. So maybe this makes this initiation into the Mars and Gemini retrograde, and starting with the Mercury retrograde that's just starting tomorrow, this initiation. And it's like, it's time to get serious with cleaning up our act and claiming our truth and beginning to speak it to the world. What if all of us started, that's scary, I know, but just being in truth in every conversation, in truth, I mean, in your truth, but also like this dream, this vision. You guys, we've already done this and we remember, and it's okay. Because the harder your life is right now, the closer you are to that veil that's thinning every day. And, it's like so close to jumping up out of it and existing in this frequency vibration that can actually support you as an advanced soul, and find your people, open up these pathways. So the main energy of this time, okay, so Mercury turns retrograde tomorrow. Mercury is in Libra at 8 degrees, the same degree that Jupiter went to and turned retrograde. So very powerful. 8 is transformation. And so it's really powerful that Mercury is opposite of Jupiter as Mercury turns direct, meaning that 3 weeks or so of energies, and then another week later when it comes out of retrograde shadow. So this is a huge energy for us because Mercury moves really fast, and typically the transits only last a couple of days. So 3 weeks in a transit is a big deal. And Mercury is opposite Jupiter. Jupiter's such a huge energy. And we talked about how it's like we had this time in the spring of expanding into possibility with Jupiter, Aries, going over that Aries point. And then when it turned retrograde, this feeling of like, we thought we were getting somewhere. We're way back in the dungeons of the Piscean age again, because we have to go, because Jupiter has to dip back into Pisces. But we know we can't go forward without the magic of the Piscean age, the mystical spiritual revelation and that connection. That's what they never want us to feel, because then the fear and trauma programming doesn't hold. And that's what we're here to do. In simple nuts and bolts, this is coming forward, is literally create the churches of the ancients, that we have this wisdom with the earth in special locations at special times coming together and just providing an experience of this connection. So in that city of light, the fear and trauma programming can't touch this. And then we'll connect these together, and you're the city of light right now where you are. And I know it's been excruciatingly painful and so alone. And it's hard to even imagine what it's like to have people around you that want to meet and talk on the level of where you are at. It's devastating. And it's painful. It's abusive. And when are we going to say, I don't deserve to be treated this way? I mean, nobody does, right? But come on. When are we going to stand up and say, wait a minute, I'm sovereign. It's up to me what kind of bullshit I go through. And where we can take back our energy, our moment. This is huge right now because so we've got that black moon square Lilith, black moon Lilith square Chiron. And we've been feeling that in the depths of just the deepest vulnerable places of where we feel lost and alone and abandoned and disconnected. And then now we're moving into beautiful sextiles with this full moon in Pisces. Like, it's okay. We're rearranging. We're dreaming a new dream. We're inserting the dream back into our timelines. How's that happen? The boots on the ground. Oh, that's you. So, but we've got square after square after square. The next big square we're already feeling is Saturn square Uranus, and they're only 1 degree out of square right now as of this weekend. And so it's like we're going right off one intense square into a next square. And in between those exact squares, we've got Venus now in Virgo. So this is bringing us grounded out energy, but coming into square with Mars in Gemini and really reflecting almost the pressure, like the divine feminine saying, I'm cleaning up my act. And where are my balls? You know, like, I got to get my confidence back. I got to come back into my power. I got to be able to move in the world and take action and represent myself. Mars and Gemini is a leadership sign. It's about expression. And it's about, it's a very important energy for those throughout history who have stood up for the people, you know, and speak the message. And this is what you're being asked to do every moment of every day in the truth of your being, of the world we know is not just possible. It already is. It already did happen. And they stole it from us. And we bought into it and have been playing victim all along. And now we got to get. So, but it's like there's pressure between the feminine and the masculine pushing each other, which is good. It's like healthy competition, right? To be ready. Because the dream requires an empowered feminine and masculine within each of us. And open up to the love. This is really powerful energy because Mercury at the very beginning, you know, it's going to spend so long with this retrograde at 8 degrees and back. It's at the beginning of Libra. The energies of the beginning of each sign have an inspiration energy and excitement about the energy of the sign and an idealism, especially in Libra, around love. So there's this calling in our heart to open up again to love and to experience and to connection. And yet, we're so alone and we're so stuck and because this Saturn Uranus square that's exact from the 2nd to the 12th of October is in fixed signs, and fixed signs are like, you know, just stable but stuck. And so it's everything in our life, of the structures of our lives that have been stubborn and haven't been able to change. So this is our belief systems, our everyday life, and our societal situations and political and all that. So incredible tension in October because it's like, whoa, we've seen the Schumann resonance graphs. We feel the energy change. Everything just looks exactly the same though. Like when do we reconcile? You know, when do we have to come together or split these timelines or cross over, you know? And I saw this kind of picture of kind of almost feeling like we're in the middle of something here in this retrograde season, and we're on a boat kind of, and we're coming from a place and we're going to a place. And there's influences that are coming in and of course, constant distraction, but also harmonizing influences that are almost giving us a sudden Uranus always brings sudden opportunities and change. So it's like, oh, tension, but it's like, whoop, quick way out. Or so it's like a timeline is coming in, that wave of a different energy is coming in, and you can kind of, hey, maybe I'll go this way. you know? So as much as we're stuck and we're in a holding pattern, it's super dynamic too. And if we can see it as this deep initiation process where we're going to retrieve our inner treasures so we can come into our true purpose and path and expression here, that can be really, really helpful. And so the Mars, Venus square Mars will be exact on the 17th. And that's interesting because the full moon in Pisces is at 17 degrees, and 1 and 7 is 8, right? So we just talked about the power of 8 right now, transformation. It's all about, so maybe that's helpful. It's like, yeah, we're completely stuck in a holding pattern in between the old and the new, and we've been here for so long and it's getting so frustrating, and yet nothing can stop what's coming because now we remember that we already were there. And so it's only a matter of time before that boomerang, we've already had this advanced technology, and it's going to boomerang back into our reality. And it's so interesting. The key piece of this, that we've been getting this message that like we all want to see the disclosure of these technologies and the truth of our history and the truth of extraterrestrial influence in our society and politics and stuff. But we've gotten a message, supernova souls, that's like, and now it kind of makes more sense with this new piece that it's so important for us to remember we've already been there and recently in these higher states of consciousness, because we're claiming that back. And so, and of course, like we talked about, the permission and the worthiness, and coming back around to holding that frequency and vibration of the dream and the truth, and doing this deep inner work to remember. Because once we remember, then we're not so scared, and then we can clear our fear programming, and then we can remember some more, and then we can claim our power back and feel confident. So this whole next chapter is really about remembering who we are and claiming that back. And so Black Moon Lilith square Chiron, alone, distraught, deep psychic pain around this separation, feeling lost, alone, unsupported. And in a world that's all designed to keep us from remembering who we are in our evolution, of course, that's going to be the case. But where we're going in the energy, we're being invited now that we can fully establish in this energy. It's actually so supportive. But so that then Venus square Mars next week, and tension, that's a mutable square. So we got a cardinal square with Black Moon Lilith Chiron, mutable square. This is about adjusting. So it's like big changes. It's almost like the masculine and feminine are coming together in a council, and saying, well, this is the work I've done, and can you meet me there? And then the masculine's like, well, this is what I've done, and how about you? Are you going to ever get out of that gutter? And so powerful energies there, and all leading up, and we're already feeling that Saturn square Uranus. Now, it's interesting that Mercury will come out of retrograde on the 2nd of October, and that is exactly when the exact square of Saturn square Uranus happens. Now, we've been feeling this transit on and off for a year and a half. And so this means that this square is kind of like a culmination energy. It's very powerful. It lasts for quite a while, 2 weeks. And so we're not going to really feel that Mercury retrograde energy of forward motion coming back until Mercury comes out of shadow and that square completes. And that's, guess what, 17th of October. So powerful energies. And this Pisces full moon, one more trans I want to talk about. And this is in the backdrop. It's between Pluto and Neptune. And with everything going on, I mean, look at these notes. It's just a big old mess out there. So much to talk about. And so Pluto in Capricorn in sextile to Neptune in Pisces. And Pluto is our transformation of structures of authoritarian and other structures of our world. And Neptune is Neptune, a ruler of Pisces. It's speaking to the energy of this collective consciousness and this dream and this spiritual reality. So together, it's this like the sextile is so sweet. It's 60 degrees apart, 2 signs over. And it's like, we can do this. It's like, yeah. Oh, I'll give a little, oh yeah, a little of this way, a little of that way. And that's the energy. So even though we're feeling so stuck with these fixed squares and this fixed square coming up and Mercury retrograde and Mars in retrograde shadow and all the planets in retrograde, this Mercury retrograde is actually an opportunity because of these squares and the stuckness. And it might actually feel really good because it's giving us an opportunity. Mercury will be in cardinal sign of Libra, back into the mutable sign of Virgo. So it's about adjustment and moving forward in a brand new way with more balance and harmony. So we can really use this Mercury retrograde to our advantage and actually enjoy it now that we understand we're in this massive initiatory process. And this Pluto sextile Neptune is very good energy here, saying, and the trines of the moon and black moon Lilith and the sun and Taurus, beautiful energies here, and saying it's okay, it's possible. And again, it's not even possible, it already happened. And we can do this. So the Mercury retrograde picture I got was that it's about working around obstacles. It's a very different way. And at first it feels like a retreat or a failure, but it's kind of like almost saying, I feel like a huge shift for supernova souls when you realize that you've been targeted. And then you're like, oh my God, I was totally beating myself up, being like, what the heck did I do in a past life to deserve this? And then you're like, oh, okay, I don't have to take this personally. Anybody who's trying to come into consciousness is going to be targeted in this reality. But once you realize that, it kind of takes off this, it like actually can empower you to come out a victim and actually validate your process and give you the strength to say no more. And this is where we're at right now in the whole world, is that it's not obvious to most people how controlled we are, even though it's playing out so intensely right now, like ridiculous requirements by governments, across the world, and strange things going on around digital control of our reality. And yet, the dream is more real and more powerful. And everything they're going into to block this ascension process is only going to help it in the end, and it's artificial and it's contrived and it requires money. Oh, maybe we should launder a few $1 million that are supposed to go to Ukraine, right? But those resources are drying up, and we have organic energy, free energy. That's what was stolen from us. And we have it in our body, in our energetic field. And so we're figuring out that we deserve it and can handle it. And we're going on a deep dive to remember about these technologies so that we can be the disclosure. Because we had this message that supernova souls, in order to get those technologies disclosed to the masses, one of the steps is that we just come into our technology. And then it's kind of like, when people are walking around and they look like light bulbs, then you might question the gas crisis. Maybe, I don't know. Oh, what a crazy time. So on this initiation energy time, I'd love for you to consider the intuitive training. This intuitive training is a 12-week class, very in-depth, very systematic, dealing with everything we've been talking about, clearing all of the authority contract sphere programming, blocks, ancestral energies, anything that's in the way of your enlightenment, which is basically coming into your one true chakra, your activated energy field, your light body. So we work with the energies, the levels of consciousness represented by the chakra system. to clear and heal and systematically go through and empower ourselves and remember. So we're uncovering from our consciousness our gifts and skills from the past. We're blooming into who we are and uncovering these treasures. And it's a very powerful, a great way to connect with other supernova souls that are on the path. This is deep and profound work. So at this time, I'm not offering any payment plans because it just takes a very powerful commitment. And this intuitive training is also a prerequisite to the Dream Team, which is a masterclass coaching. And that's when we get together and really get to do the work together. So these are the only ways to work with me directly right now. And so I'd love if you consider those options. I've gotten the message over these last years that this intuitive training, most important skills for supernova souls. So the information is below. Now, I hope maybe you can join me too on the live or the replay of the Pisces full moon activation happening in just 15 minutes. So I better get going, and I hope to see you there. And consider learning more about that intuitive training, coming to us with this replay activation, bringing your energy to the supernova soul experience. You're a part of it, and you're a part of something. And they didn't want you to know this. You know, they wanted us to be so isolated that we would go crazy, you know? And this is a psychic quarantine. And we're waking up to the fact that we're the sane ones. Oh, golly. So, with this beautiful, this intense transits, but these sweet sextiles and trines, it's kind of like, can you, and that Pluto sextile Neptune, dream a new dream, play your way into a reality. Are we in a game? Can we be done now? Has this gone on long enough? And maybe start, and you'll little by little break through that barrier of the lower vibrational field and find your permission to operate in this other frequency vibration. And we'll find each other there. So live the dream, be in the energy of what you know is true and real, because this is we're in a programmed reality. We can use the same technology that's programming humanity to break the system, break the matrix, defrag, and let the light in. So here we are together, and I hope to see you soon on that Pisces full moon activation or the next update. Until then, thank you so much for being with me, Supernova Soul, going through all you've gone through. I'm so glad we're here together. Look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.